Hello, my name is Sophie von Hellermann and I'm here to prepare my exhibition titled Festival. Festival is, for me, is a celebration. The exhibition should be a celebration because I have a big birthday next month, just after my opening. So the idea of celebrating life was on my mind, I guess. And then I was reading about Korean festival that happens in springtime as well, Dano, and I remembered things that I heard from friends, and also I was reminded of the Lee Tong-jun's novel Festival, which is very much about life and how it is celebrated and how we live with the memory of those who came before us. In painting, I always work with memories, whether my own or other people's memories. Because of the date of Dano, the 5th of May, and it reminded me of the images that I saw and the stories that I read about it. It reminded me a little bit of May Day in the UK, where people dance around a maypole and very much celebrating the end of winter, the beginning of summer, and hoping for a good summer, hoping there to be no more illness, no more disease, and for the harvest to be good and the crops to grow well, and also just to come together and meet each other in a romantic way as well, so to make new families and all that. I think it's a universal thing. That's the reason for why people come together and work together and celebrate together. I have a friend who is half Korean, half German and half Korean, and she told me about how her mother danced in a masked dance, and I found that always very fascinating, the story. As I was in preparation and immersing myself in what I could find about the culture, and I came across the poem Janelle Flower, and I read it, and of course it resonates with me, and I think with everybody, that it's a very accessible poem and it's about the lost love and love of sickness. I think painting is always about a longing as well, and a loving and something that is not there or not there anymore. So that's always an inspiration for painting. And the other one was a story I read about two lovers that meet, and a romantic story. Because I was born in Germany but then moved to England with my parents, it's sort of not being so fluent in either language, or being fluent, yes, but not feeling confident in expressing. So even though I was very interested in novels and literature and writing myself, I actually found that painting I could do that was not in neither language. So I like to play also with two different countries and different attitudes to painting, like from German Romanticism to English Romanticism, the Turner paintings, from Caspar David Friedrich, the German Romantic paintings, and then the big history of portrait painting in the UK, and then German Expressionism. So I've benefited from being exposed at a young age to both cultures, I think. I used a lot of green because of thinking of it being springtime and freshness, and I used yellow and pink for lightness, the red and the blue for the Korean flag and the costumes, and white blossoms. I wanted to give a sense of the people in the paintings being outside in nature, celebrating. I've painted with raw pigments for as long as I can remember, not from when I first started art school and we learned about mixing paints. I have sort of stuck to that very old traditional method of using the pigments, and then at first I used to mix them with oil and white spirit, but then sometime during my studies in Düsseldorf, our professor Dieter Krieg, who I studied with, he brought a huge barrel of acrylic dispersion into the studio and asked us to please paint with that, because he didn't like the fumes of the oil paints and the white spirit. So we switched to using that acrylic binder, and I've sort of stuck to that since, and I've become more and more efficient in the way I paint. I now always use the same bucket and it kind of carry on painting, so because I do not like to throw the acrylic paints down the drain. I mean, I shouldn't, and I try to avoid it. So I carry on painting, and so I have the raw pigments, and then I have the bucket and the binder, and I start the big canvas with spreading a lot of the liquid onto the canvas and then mixing the raw pigment straight into the liquid. And then as it dries, I draw into it, and then the figures sort of emerge out of the wetness, and I sort of add to it and sort of take it away, add to it, like paint into, and this is on the raw canvas. So as the paint is drying, the canvas stretches, and then when the painting's done, I leave it to dry, and then the painting is stretched and ready. It takes about, it depends on the temperature and the amount of water that I use. So I can control the length of time with the liquid, actually, because it does dry quite quickly, especially in hot temperatures. Now in winter, when I painted these paintings, it wasn't so quick, but that's how I do it. There's no sketches. The images emerge out of nothing, really, just out of the mist. Like 20 years ago, I would maybe tackle the painting less. I would have a much more fixed image in my head, and it was always very much about the lonely figure in a vast space. There's a romantic projection of the little figure and the vast space around it, and I've become more and more interested now in groups of people and more things going on in the background and foreground, so play more with space. So rather than just having a single person and vast landscape, it's more a scene of people. And I've become more confident and happy to tell stories as well, because even though I've always done that and related to stories and that I read and stuff, I've become more confident in using it, and I've gained more colors, literally, and that I'm able to use, rather than just, they were more pastel-y and grey 20 years ago, I think, than they are now, more reduced then, and slowly be able to use more colours. I started the paintings not thinking so much about the mural, but then the more and more paintings appeared, and I thought about the space here, and I thought about the large curved wall and the drama of it. I thought it would be great to make a mural that went all around the space, and so that the paintings would sit on the mural. And then the theme of the paintings being festival of hope and celebration of nature very much, I wanted to paint nature and also let loose. As people, we always have tried to personify nature, to make nature smaller, and so like God, our gods and our personification of the elements is somehow our desire to make things smaller, because we cannot deal with how big nature is. So with the mural, I'm trying to paint nature as big as it is, also as a source of life and everything, but also as a threat to us, and how we are since we have taken the fire and made it our own, we've also taken a lot away from nature, and we are now at a point where we possibly have gone too far. And so it's the climate catastrophe that we are facing is always in my work now. So the mural is not that it's just that, but it's definitely that as well. Just as I'm talking about nature, I've been reading and listening to a book by James Bridle, who's actually an artist, and he was talking about ways of being and how we as humans coexist with animals and nature, and how animals should be given more rights. It was really through films that I've seen, and the friend I mentioned, who I've been talking to, and also my students in Karlsruhe who are from Seoul. I had the images in my head, but it's amazing to actually be here now and experience as it really is. I just hope that everybody will be inspired by looking at the paintings and be happy and feel like they're experiencing something that's been here for a long time, because somehow that's always my aim with painting, is to uncover things that have been around for a very, very long time. So touch the soul.